So it's happening. Donald Trump is trying to rig the election. Republicans are going along with it, and it all has to do with the post office. Check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Boy, he just came right out and said it. Donald Trump, yesterday, just during his so-called coronavirus briefing, his little mini rally at the White House every day, he just came right out and said it. He is messing with the post office to prevent people from voting. There are, the statistics are all over the place. I spent some time online looking for this morning because I saw a statistic quoted last night on CNN, which was that over 80% of Democratic voters intend to or would prefer to vote by mail, and that is only true of between 20 and 30% of Republican voters. And of course, the big variable is this Trump virus, and that the Trump virus has killed 160,000 plus Americans, and the Trump virus has infected over 5 million of us, and it is spreading and it is growing, and people just don't want to show up at the polling place unless they watch Fox News and they believe that the Trump virus is actually the China virus, and it isn't all that bad, and mostly it just kills black people and old people. So Donald Trump came right out and said, yeah, you don't want you want money to help out people who are unemployed? Cool. Take the post office out of it. Here's exactly what he said. These are his words, Donald Trump. They want $3.5 billion for universal mail-in ballots. They want $25 billion for the post office. They need that money so they can have the post office work so that they can take millions of ballots. If they don't get that money, you can't do universal mail-in voting. They want $3.5 for something that will turn out to be fraudulent. In other words, if everybody can vote by mail, Democrats win right across the board, and Donald Trump and the Republican Party lose right across the board. And, that's the outcome that they're trying to avoid by canceling the post office, basically, by killing off the post office. The Trump campaign itself has publicly allocated $20 million to pay for lawyers and law firms to sue states to block expansion of mail-in voting. Republican lawmakers are doing the best they can to help out. In Ohio, for example, their Secretary of State, Frank LaRose, announced that, here in Ohio, we will allow drop boxes. So if you want to bring your mail-in ballot and drop it off, you don't have to worry about the post office. Cool, we got a drop box for you. But only one per county. Now, the entire city of Cleveland is in one county, millions and millions of people. And then you got a county out there, a red county in Ohio with, 30,000 people in it? They get one drop box. Cleveland gets one drop box. How's that going to work out? I mean, this is fairly predictable. And then this morning, Bill Cassidy, the Republican senator, was on CNN going, well, there is fraud. Back in North Carolina, there was this guy who was harvesting ballots. Yeah, he was a Republican. He got busted, and he's in prison. Or if he isn't, he's on his way or should be. I mean, but that doesn't mean that there's widespread voter fraud or election fraud that's associated with mail-in ballots. Actually, they're quite clean, they're quite reliable, they're quite safe. But we shouldn't even be having to make this argument. You've got the President of the United States trying to destroy the U.S. Postal Service. More than 1.2 billion prescriptions were sent through the Postal Service last year. And right now, virtually every veteran in America, the VA pretty much only mails prescriptions. Pretty much every veteran in America is getting their meds through the post office. And, people will start dying when their medication comes late. Diabetics will go into diabetic shock. People on blood pressure medication will end up with heart attacks and strokes. Donald Trump doesn't care. The Republicans in the United States Senate don't care. Now might be a good time to call the United States Senate at 202-224-3121 and let them know what you think about this. But Donald Trump is actually enthusiastic about this. He's bragging that he's blocking money to the post office just so people can't vote by mail. Mark Meadows has been open. Everybody's been trying to figure out why, Mark Meadows, who, the cokehead former head of the so-called Freedom Caucus, that's spelled F-R-E-E-D-U-M-B, caucus in the House of Representatives, has been blocking this. You know, he's now Trump's chief of staff. He's been blocking this, and people are scratching their heads going, why doesn't Mark Meadows, why are the Koch brothers, you know, why is Charles Koch and his billionaire buddies opposed to people getting unemployment benefits? Well, of course, because they're libertarians and they don't think government benefits should go to anybody for anything. But, you know, why specifically this? Why this big push? Well, because it's going to help mail-in voting. It's mind-boggling. So I wrote an op-ed, which is up at the top of Alternet right now. And it's also over on Raw Story and a few other places. And it's titled, If Biden Wins, Get Ready for Trump to Punish America. And I just want to run this one by you, too. And, you know, ask the question, you know, do you think Trump is going to get away with this? And am I missing something about what we can do about this? I mean, I'm saying call Republican senators at 202-224-3121. Tweet at Republican senators. I tweeted at Bill Cassidy this morning saying, you know, that was a pathetic performance on CNN. Am I missing something here? How do you think this is going to play out? And I've got a couple scenarios I want to share with you. The first is Trump punishes America if he loses. The second, which came from a couple of military people, is Trump basically ends democracy in America if he loses. These are both if he loses scenarios. I don't really have an if he wins scenario because I think it's fairly clear that he's not going to, unless he can steal the election. As I've said for years, Republicans can only win elections when they cheat. And, you know, the basic bottom line here is that, you know, African Americans have and Hispanics have suffered from voter suppression for centuries. Certainly, yeah, well over a century. And now with the post office, Trump is trying to do voter suppression to everybody, which is all those white people out there. And, you know, if you get enough white people pissed off, is that gonna stop him? But anyhow, if Trump wins, he has tweeted multiple times that if Trump loses, the stock market will crash. Well, he's now set up that scenario. Jerome Powell, who is not an economist, he's a former managing director or partner at Carlyle Group, the big, private equity fund that funds defense contractors. That's one of the places where he made his tens of millions of dollars, the chairman of the Fed. And Trump brought him in, and he has now invented $7 trillion out of thin air. I mean, literally created it out of thin air and used it to buy stocks and bonds in major corporations to support the stock market. It's the only reason the stock market hasn't crashed. So what happens if Joe Biden is declared the winner, say on November 20th? Say it takes a couple of weeks to count the ballots because of the mail-in ballots and everything else. And on November 20th, the states all certify, yep, Joe Biden won. Well, in scenario one, and we'll get to scenario two after the break, in scenario one, Jerome Powell says, okay, we're out of here. We're not going to support the stock market anymore. And boom, the market collapses. All the talking heads come out in very serious voices and say, well, the market has its own intelligence. It knew that a Democrat would raise taxes and it's going to crash the economy, so there you go. And the stock market goes down to 7,000, and Joe Biden is now inheriting a worse economy than Barack Obama inherited when George W. Bush crashed the economy in 2008. And frankly, I think it'll be a worse economy than when Republican President Herbert Hoover crashed the economy in 1930.